The Testament Season 1, Episode 8 breakdown. Agnes's engagement to Commander Weston changes everything. But is she secretly planning to escape? At first, Commander Weston looks like the perfect husband in Gilead. He's calm, respectful, powerful, even strangely gentle with Agnes. And that's exactly what makes him terrifying. Because Episode 8 of the Testaments quietly reveals something horrifying about Gilead. Sometimes the most dangerous men are not the cruelest ones. They're the ones who make captivity feel safe. And by the end of Broken, Agnes may have realized she's walking directly into a prison she'll never escape from, unless she runs first. This entire episode feels like a funeral disguised as a wedding. Everyone around Agnes celebrates her engagement to Commander Weston like she just won the lottery. Her stepmother Paula is obsessed with flowers, cake flavors, appearances, status. The commanders smile, the aunts approve. But Agnes herself looks emotionally numb almost the entire episode because deep down she already knows the truth. This isn't marriage, it's surrender. And the saddest part? Weston genuinely seems excited about their future together. That's what makes the situation emotionally complicated. Unlike many men in Gilead, Weston doesn't immediately come across as abusive. In fact, he's surprisingly attentive toward Agnes. During the cake tasting scene, he notices she's uncomfortable. He even stands up to Paula when she tries controlling the wedding plans. It's your wedding, not hers. That line feels comforting at first, but then you realize something disturbing. Agnes is so starved for basic human respect that even minimal kindness feels revolutionary. And that's how Gilead traps women emotionally. Not always through brutality, sometimes through controlled kindness. Weston gives Agnes tiny pieces of freedom, choosing flowers, speaking her mind, disagreeing with Paula, but only within the boundaries he controls. That's not liberation. That's a prettier cage. And the episode brilliantly contrasts this with Agnes's emotional state whenever Garth is mentioned. Because no matter how polite Weston is, Agnes doesn't love him. She loves Garth. That opening dream sequence says everything. Agnes imagines herself dancing with Garth, completely free and happy for one of the only times in the entire season. But then Becca appears between them, reminding Agnes that even her fantasies are no longer safe from Gilead. That dream is symbolic. Agnes already feels like her future has been stolen before the marriage even begins. And when she discovers Becca chose Garth willingly, something inside her starts collapsing emotionally. Because now Agnes isn't just losing the man she loves. She's losing the possibility that someone else could have chosen her instead. That's why the tension between Agnes and Becca feels so painful in episode 8. Neither girl is technically betraying the other, but Gilead has forced them into emotional competition anyway. And Commander Weston unknowingly becomes the center of that tragedy. But here's where things get really interesting. The show subtly hints that Weston may not fully understand who Agnes really is. Everyone in Gilead sees Agnes as obedient, quiet, proper, marriage-ready. But episode 8 shows us a completely different side of her. She's angry now, especially after Hulda reveals Dr. Grove assaulted her too. That revelation changes Agnes permanently. Before this episode, Agnes survived by suppressing her emotions. Staying quiet kept her alive, but now she realizes silence protects predators. And suddenly, marriage to a powerful commander becomes far more dangerous than before, because Agnes is entering a world where she'll be expected to stay silent forever. That scene with Aunt Lydia is one of the biggest clues about Agnes's future. When Agnes carefully implies Dr. Grove assaulted her too, Lydia immediately understands. But instead of openly helping, Lydia tells Agnes something very strategic. Once she becomes Commander Weston's wife, she'll have influence. That line matters enormously, because Lydia isn't just comforting Agnes, she's teaching her how power works inside Gilead. Women have almost no direct freedom, but elite wives can quietly influence powerful men. And for the first time, Agnes starts realizing her marriage could either become her prison or her weapon. That's the hidden conflict developing underneath the engagement storyline. Will Agnes submit completely to Weston's world? Or will she use her position against Gilead itself? And honestly, episode 8 keeps giving us clues that Agnes may already be thinking about escape. Look carefully at her body language during the engagement party. She smiles when required, speaks politely, follows expectations. But emotionally, she's detached from everything happening around her, especially whenever Weston talks about their future. It almost feels like Agnes is watching someone else's life unfold in front of her. That emotional disconnection is important because it mirrors what happened to June in early The Handmaid's Tale. Before rebellion begins externally, it begins internally. A person stops accepting the reality forced onto them, and Agnes may be reaching that point now. But there's another massive clue hidden in episode 8 that most viewers missed. Commander Weston protects Agnes from Paula's controlling behavior almost immediately. At first, that makes him look compassionate, but psychologically, it could mean something darker. Weston may already be isolating Agnes emotionally. Abusive systems often work by making the victim feel like one person inside the system is their safe place. That creates dependency. And if Weston becomes the only person Agnes feels protected by, escaping him becomes infinitely harder later. The terrifying possibility is that Weston may not think he's controlling Agnes at all. He may genuinely believe he's caring for her, which would make their marriage even more psychologically dangerous, because Agnes could slowly lose herself without realizing it. But then the episode throws Daisy into the equation, and everything changes. After Agnes reveals the truth about Dr. Grove, Daisy's reaction is explosive emotionally. For the first time all season, Agnes experiences someone becoming angry for her instead of blaming her. That matters, because Daisy represents another possible future: resistance, escape, rebellion. And the moment Agnes confides in Daisy, you can almost feel her beginning to emotionally step outside Gilead's control. That final garden scene is secretly about more than Dr. Grove. It's about Agnes realizing she's no longer completely alone. And once isolated people find allies, they become dangerous. Which brings us to the biggest question after episode 8. Will Agnes actually go through with the marriage? Honestly, probably yes, at first. But that doesn't mean she plans to stay loyal forever. The show is clearly setting up Agnes to infiltrate Gilead from the inside. Becoming Commander Weston's wife could give her access to information, influence, and spaces ordinary girls never see. And if Aunt Lydia truly is building a hidden resistance network like in Margaret Atwood's novel, Agnes could become one of its most valuable pieces. But emotionally, Agnes is already cracking. She's traumatized, angry, heartbroken, and increasingly aware that the system surrounding her protects monsters like Dr. Grove. That awareness changes people permanently. Because once someone sees the truth about Gilead clearly, pretending becomes impossible. And here's the tragic irony. Commander Weston may genuinely think he's giving Agnes a better life, but by marrying her, he may accidentally place a future rebel directly inside the heart of Gilead's power structure. That's what makes the ending of episode 8 feel so ominous. Agnes stands on the edge of two futures. In one future, she becomes exactly what Gilead wants: a loyal commander's wife who learns to survive through silence. In the other, she becomes something far more dangerous: a woman with power who no longer believes in the system she serves. And if that happens, Commander Weston's engagement to Agnes might become the biggest mistake of his life. Because episode 8 quietly suggests something terrifying. Agnes is no longer dreaming about surviving Gilead. She may be starting to dream about escaping it.